Evening, everybody. It's 6:17 on this Monday afternoon, the 26th of February, and this is your closing comment. It's video number 2086. Today was boring, very boring, unless, of course, you happen to be in, some of those. I guess they're now talking about them as the Big Four, and they were pretty much all over the place also. But at the end of the day, the Dow finished down 62.30 or 0.36. NASDAQ down 20 and a half. S&P down 20, 1927 actually. The only one that was up, which was the leader, and it was only up about 0.7%, were was the Russell. Transports down 78 and change, or 0.49. That was actually the biggest loser. Um, Advanced declines were 1.6 to 1 on the downside on the NYSE, a little bit better, 1.4 to 1 on the NASDAQ, and volume actually held up pretty well. I think the high on Friday was 5.6 or 5.7. Today's was 5.4. We've been seeing a lot of 4.8s and 4.9s, so pretty decent. Chart on the screen is Bitcoin. Um, in my charts with comments, I mentioned another one of those measured moves from the recovery high to the 2 week reversal. This is about 11 or $12. Taking it from the top here at 49, it looks like about 59 or 60,000. I'm going to say that if it does that this week, and it could, that it is actually a short. Um, I I know I don't like to buy them as they're falling or sell them as they're rallying, but I think we get into this area around 60,000. It's going to be a problem, even with the halving. But more importantly, this is a contract that really is well maintained around the Bollinger Bands. I mean, up here, it didn't really get through them in a big way, and it took 2 weeks to turn it down, to try it again, and then turn it down. Here and here, same situation. In this consolidation, it never went through there. In this breakout move to the upside, it just kind of rode that line. It was out of it here and came down a bit. I mean, you have to realize that on this chart, the high here is 45,000, the low the next week is 40,000. So, those are specific, those are nice size moves. Even a narrow week, 41.6 to 43.8, that's still 2,200. So we hit the high here and we came down $12 and started back up. We broke through it, and now 2 weeks ago it was outside the Bollinger Band, and this week it's outside. So I'm thinking it's getting a little extensive. And by the way, the MACD looks like it's going to roll over. Where would I expect it to go? I'd be satisfied if I saw it just back at 50,000 again. But, we're talking about a fairly decent move if it does get up in this area, back down to where it just came from and broke out. I mean, that's $10,000 or $12,000 of decline. So I would definitely be wary about it from the long side, and I would actually consider buying some options on, I believe it's BITI. Let me just make sure. Yes, BITI is the ProShares short Bitcoin strategy ETF, which closed today at 994, and that was down 72 cents or almost 7%. And it's approaching its lower Bollinger Band, and it has bounced every time that it's done that. So, it may be a high risk play. It may be a level two alert on my system, but I can't imagine not playing it. Okay, the oil, which is basically unchanged tonight, up a penny, was 77.58, up $1.09. It got up as high as 78.02. I am still very bullish here, and I'll excuse me. I'll show you why. I think that uh, outside the Bollinger Band, right on that 200-week MA, sitting right up here. And as of, I'm going to say, as of today, probably, nope, it's riding. The 5 and 20 are riding together. Let me look at it on the daily and see what that looks like. On the daily. On the daily, let's see, where is this purple line? There we go. On the daily, it is also pretty much riding along there, and I'm just looking at this and seeing all of these highs in the 79.65. That's about you know a little over $2 higher from where we. Oh, let's see, closed 77.58. So again, about $2 or more, and it would break out of this whole consolidation. So we'll have to see. Um, Gold was down 10.5 into support. The Bitcoin we already talked about. The dollar was down 10 cents, and the bonds were down a half a point. Okay, so Teva had news this morning. Got up as high as 13.53, closed 13 and a quarter, up 36 cents on a distribution deal inside China, a joint venture deal. We had that LUNR that I talked about this morning. This is Intuitive Machines. It's the company that put the new, uh, I guess, call it a rover or whatever, on the moon, and it fell over. The stock has gone from 3.5 to 14 and change. Today, this morning when we talked about it, it was 718 down 241. It actually finished the day at 610 down 347. I know Kramer was going to talk about it. Who knows what that imbecile is going to say about it? So I'm not watching, but I'm just reporting it. Excuse me. DPZ. Domino's Pizza, 458.49, up 24.84 or 5.7%. A really nice move on their numbers. New home sales were a disappointment, and earnings after the close today. Zoom with a huge beat and a nice guidance. The stock had closed 63.12, and that was down 28 cents. It got as high as 71.97, I believe. Let's see. Got as high as 71.97. The last is 69.84. That's up 6.44 or 10.17. Workday also had a beat but went in the other direction. The stock had closed at 307.21, up $1.33 on the headline beat. The stock immediately moved up to 326. And then as they looked at guidance and the underwhelming revenue growth, it came all the way down to 281.94. Actually, it's come down a little further since I even made that note a little while ago. It came down to 276.23. The last is 283.92, and that's down $22 or 7.2. iRobot, which has been a horrendous name, had earnings today. The stock had closed at 12-13, up 50 cents. On its numbers, it got up to 14.95. The last is 12.36. That's up 73 cents. You remember this is the one that Amazon was going to buy, and then they didn't. And frankly, the stock really took it on the chin there. After the Amazon deal was announced, it was, well, in in November, the stock was 42 and change. We started hearing rumblings about it in early January, and in one day, the stock went from uh, 39 and change to 29, closed 29 and three quarters. Spent 4 days consolidating with a high of about 32, and then in 3 days went from 32 to 1577 and has since had one little minor rally back to like 19 and has just withered away. Today, it was, as I said, up as high as 14.95 on these numbers, and the last there is, as I said, now 12.18, and that's up 55 cents or 4.7. And Unity Software, which had a miss. This one was a bit of a surprise. This is a stock that not that long ago was 60. As late as June of last year, it was still 50. In December of this year, the day after Christmas, it was 44. And today it closed at 3102, I believe. Let's see. 3126, and that was up slightly. It turned higher on the news, got up to 35, and then turned right back down and got down to 26 and a half. The last is 27.05, and that is down 421 or 13.47%. Um, we didn't really have much in the way of news today. As I mentioned, tomorrow is pretty much the same thing. At 8:30, we have durable goods and durable goods orders ex transportation. That's at 8:30. At 9 o'clock, we have FHFA housing index, the prior for which was zero point 0.3, and December S&P K Schiller Home Price Index. Briefing.com's consensus is 6%, and the prior there is 5.4. And then at 10 o'clock, we have February consumer confidence, which is always interesting. As far as the record size uh, Treasury auctions that we had today, neither of them went particularly well. Um, the 2 year notes, 63 billion of 2 year notes and 64 billion of 5 year notes, both met with, as Dow Jones put it, underwhelming demand. The 2 year note settled 1 basis point higher at 473. The 10 year rose 4. So that actually closed the 210 gap just a little. But a week and a half ago, it was in the 20s. Now it's 43. And during the day today, they were showing it at 45. So not great. All right, folks, I'll be back first thing in the morning with those numbers for you.